Okay, I hope this works. Is anyone back? I had to end it. I don't know why, but my internet wasn't working properly and it kept bleeping out. So my name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sehon. I am with Swift Fire Ministry. Hey, Colleen, I'm going to go back. Oh my gosh, yes. Hey, Julie. So yesterday we talked about split energy and the science of split energy, and how when we forget that God is in us fully, how we can actually cause a negative equation. Hey, Julie. Hey, Tracy. In the code of our biofield, which would cause us to not be able to do the things that we are truly saying that we choose to manifest here on the earth. Hi. So, yes. We talked about God yesterday and how he continuously confirms himself in contracts. Just like a contract here on earth, we usually sign and then someone else signs, and then there's oftentimes a witness. And throughout the Bible, there is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning, the present, and the end. There is the seven spirits of God, which are all different colors in the rainbow. So when we see a rainbow, that is the Lord's seven signatures of all of the things that he is in the clouds, giving us a promise that there will be a manifestation. And over and over and over again, it talks about where there are two or three gathered in my name, there I will be in their presence. And so go back and watch that first video. You could scroll down below and see that. And if you would like to get more information on that, that would be a great way for you to understand what's going on here. But when we have those confirmations, that's when let's look at the science part of that, because I'm a science geek. But God, in his infinite wisdom, being the Alpha and Omega, is also energy, and he's light. And we are sons and daughters of light. He is light. He sent us here to be light. And we are a multiplication of light. And light is the same thing as vibration, frequency, sound. In the beginning, God said there is light, and that's what was created. Everything was created based on matter. Thoughts, words, all create matter. And so we have to remember, on a science level, we are very powerful because we're made in his image, and we get to do all those things, and we get to manifest and create our life. Let's talk about how to do that, and why maybe there's been times when even we thought we wanted something or choose something, and yet we're not seeing those manifestations yet. We're not seeing the magic all the time in the past. Cancel. Yesterday we talked about not only is there power in agreement with contracts and the seven spirits of God and all of that, but this is one way that we can have agreement, is mind, feeling, and speech. And when mind, feeling, and speech is in alignment, Kathy and Carly, then that is another form of agreement, which on an energetic science level, there's a vibration to what you think about. There's a vibration to what you feel, and there's a vibration to every word that's spoken, whether thought or actually spoken. There's a sound to it. Those create a sound or code or an equation that goes out into the biofield, and then we only, by science, can get a match. So if you're seeing anything in your environment or your universe, that gives you an opportunity to realize there's something that we can do with our mind, our heart, our mouth, to create a new outcome and a new manifestation. We went through and looked at the equations yesterday, and I encourage you to go back and look about split energy in that video, because if you, for example, say, hey, everybody pray for me, I have a headache, cancel, I'm clearing that. You can actually post that on Facebook, and because you brought headache into the sentence or into the equation, that is a negative frequency word, which causes a spiritual purgatory or a staying thing, because there's a +1 and then you've added a minus and now you're at 0, and there's no movement, no motion, nothing to go on, which is split energy. We want to stay, I choose to stay in the positive, and I choose for us all to understand about how code and math works, because God is the source. He is the source code, and he is in us. Now, I want to talk to you a couple of things today because I have another analogy to give you to kind of nail this home. In the past, in my experience at least in Christianity, most of the scriptures that I have looked at and or read or been taught have a focus that God is for me, that he is around me. The scriptures say that in certain times that the Spirit of the Lord was on someone, he was around him, that he went before him. You know, all of those things do not necessarily imply that he is inside of the person. And there are several scriptures that do straight up say that, but some of them are not necessarily written the way that the Greek and the Hebrew meant for them to be, which would be that God is in that person. God is fully in that person. We are created in his image. He is light and we are light. And God, when we remember that he is fully in us, we get to do all the things that I am is. And I think, you know, and this is just an opinion and or a theory, whoever set the Bible up to interpret it the way they did, who knows, maybe they did that on purpose so we would forget our power, so that we would think of us being separate. When we think of God up there and we and pray to a God upstairs, and there's even the saying, the man upstairs, when I think of him being separate and pray to something that's separate, then it could be easier to forget that he is in me, being able to do all the things that he has done before and more, because it says greater things than these. So I have a couple of visuals that I choose to show you here, and just bear with me. I'm going to turn this around real quick. So here we have a couple of glasses. And let's say this is us. I'm going to move that over here. Let's say this is God, okay? Now, this is God fully right here. This is us. And when we are awakened to remember him fully, then we actually end up being this cup, which all of that is him in us, if that makes sense. So now I'm going to give you an example. Is let's say you remember that you are power, you are might, you are integrity, you are righteousness, you are full on God, and then you have a thought that you have fear, or you are worrying about something that may happen, which isn't something that God would ever do. Then this comes out, and we are not full. And I'm not saying it goes somewhere else, maybe, but energetically we leak. And when that comes outside of us, then we actually attract more lack or more fear or whatever. And so anytime that there's a thought, we lose or we leak the fullness of who he is, and we are not fully God I am. Now, you can change your mind and you can transform and you can all of a sudden remember, and that can be restored and be full again. And forgive me for this analogy, because God is not on the outside. I mean, he is everywhere, but we have to remember that really God is inside. So imagine that the water is actually filling up from the inside, that the light is filling up inside, not from an outside source. God is not from an outside source, although he can use people and things and situations to bring something better to you. Really what would be coming in here is the fullness from the inside, because it's a remembering and a reminding. Now, again, every time we make a wrong choice, or we think about making a wrong choice, or we have fear, or we have a wrong mindset, or, it could be a thought, it could be a feeling, it could be a word, anything that it doesn't line up with the knowledge of Christ, then guess what? We leak. We're a leaky, cracked pot. And so what I choose is that we're not only full of God, but that we're overflowing. Again, not from an outside source, but when we're overflowing like this, then that actually brings an attraction energetically to bring more to you, where you're not just you, but you're overflowing, and you're bringing that overflow to everyone that you meet. Kind of cool. So when we see scriptures, I encourage you, when you see scriptures that talk about God being for us or around us or upon us, go look for yourself and see that these are not necessarily for us, but actually in us. There's many scriptures that say, Christ I am, full of glory. I am that I am. And I want to look at a couple, and first I want to say that when people have made choices that are outside of what God would do, in my own experience, I can tell you that most of the time it was because I felt like lack of fear lack of love or security, or not being able to trust that God will do what he says he's going to do in us. And so I encourage you to remember integrity, to remember righteousness. Righteousness just means to be in right standing. And integrity just means to be whole. And so when we remember, meaning remember the body, and when we remind, transforming the mind, and we're reprogramming, there's an awesome, more powerful ability to demolish arguments and every pretension or imagination that sets itself up against the knowledge of our God, and take captive every thought and make it obedient. And when we do that, and then we're talking about those things, feeling those things, and thinking those things, then we get a match, because it goes out into the biofield and it comes in as a match. Let's look at Jeremiah 18 real quick. And actually, before we do that, let's look at 2 Corinthians 4, 7 through 12. It says, but we have this treasure, and that word treasure is the G2344, which means we have this deposit. We have this storehouse. We have this place where everything that he is being held. It says we have this treasure in jars of clay to show the surpassing power that belongs to God. We may be crushed and perplexed, but not in despair, struck down but not destroyed. And goes on, it says, and we're always carrying in our body Jesus, so that Jesus may be manifested in our bodies, to be manifest in the mortal flesh, the earth body, the earth skin. So I thought it was interesting that it says, but we have this treasure, that again, that word treasure is the G2344, which means we have this deposit. We have this fullness that's already there. It is a hard drive, language, fullness, all the things of God are already there. We just have to remember and remind ourselves that they're there. Let's look at Jeremiah 18, 1 through 6, because another thing it says, the potter was working on this wheel, and he even, the Lord tells him, arise. And that word arise means in the Hebrew 6965, to be full. Again, to be or not to be. That is the question. Where are you? Where am I? Where are we? Are we full? Are you full? Do you choose fullness? Again, check yourself and ask yourself, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I talking about? So arise. In other words, hey, be full. He's telling him, be full. And as this potter was working on this clay jar that he had, he noticed there were cracks in it. He noticed that it had spoiled. It had gotten perverted. That's one of the translations. It had compromised, meaning it wasn't its full self. And he's telling it to be, hey, be. Go be present. Go be I am that I am. Remember that I'm in you. And it says, so the potter actually reworked this cracked pot into another vessel. And he said, O house of Israel, can I not do that for you? So you are in me. And when it says he reworked, that word reworked is the Hebrew 6213, which means to be. To be. To be or not to be. To be and remember, God, I am fully in you or not. And again, we can have split energy where 2 minutes or 30 minutes, we can be full on remembering God in us fully, not separate as an outside thing or an outside God, but fully within us, Christ I am. And I'm not saying that I'm Christ. I'm saying that I am, meaning I am here. I am being, and God I am is in me fully, because I am aware of that, and I'm aware that I can do greater things than them because he's doing this all through me, fully, full on. That he has given me this treasure and this deposit, this storehouse. It gives a whole new meaning to tithing, even to the storehouse. Well, what's the storehouse? Go look up that, I dare you. It's not what you thought. So when I've made bad choices or had even bad thoughts or spoken things, I'm catching myself faster and faster of maybe judgments that I've spoken or needing to be right or choosing to be right. But when we can remember and stay, when we can remember and remind and focus on everything that God is, then we are full and we are here, we are present. That word, when the scripture says I am, that word am is, we talked about yesterday, means to be present. The Alpha and the Omega in us is the beginning and the end, fully, meaning he was in us then, he's in us now, and he will always be. So let's be full. Okay, I think it gives a whole new meaning too. Is the glass half empty or is it full? Which one is it? It's all up to you. You get to choose. I get to choose. We get to be or not to be, and we get to choose if we're going to be full on God and allow God to move through us and to manifest through us, or if we're going to have split energy. And one more analogy, you can go to a buffet and you could take food on your plate and give it back, and take food on and give it back. But if you just keep doing that, you never eat because you're too busy taking things on and to putting them off. And energetically, as we go back and forth like this, we're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And when we're full on remembering who he is, not a separate God, but God in us fully, there is a biofield code that has memory and code and vibration of what we're thinking, feeling, and talking about. Feeling and talking about. That sends a code or a message. It's a source code that goes out. And whether it's provision, or maybe your divine partner, your love. When you remember love, you get love. Maybe it's truth. If you're not getting truth in your world, go figure out what it is that you've done that hasn't been truthful, that's allowing truth to come in. If you're getting fear, then look at where is your security. Remember, God I am is secure. God's not scared of stuff. So think about all the names of God and what he is. Shalom, peace. Where is your peace? I am peace and my peace stays. I stay. I am that I am. I am present. And so we can decree these things and create a different vibe. We can think about these things and create a different vibe. We can talk about these things and create a different vibe. We can get other people to join us in these thoughts and have a collective consciousness of these things to shift the whole nation, the whole world, the whole universe. But I am encouraging you to share this and to tag. And if you didn't look at yesterday's, go look at that one and share and tag that one because there's still time. Go get it out there so people can hear this message and remember and remind your friends. And if we're not friends on Facebook, apparently there's only like 5,000 people that can be a friend at once. So hit the follow button so you can get more videos. I have way more revelation on this and I choose to do some more videos on it. So if you hit that follow button, you will be following me and you'll be notified when there's a new video that's coming out. So I love all of you. I wish you all an awesome Friday. I thank you so much for tuning in today and for sharing and tagging. I thank you for your comments and your love and your hearts and your beauty. You're beautiful. That's what you are. You are beautiful and you are God-full. And so I keep encouraging you to be God-full and to, hey, go to my Instagram, my Twitter. I have stuff on YouTube. My Divine Science and the Human Body is way more about private information that can't go so public and lots of science, geeky, spiritual stuff. Have an awesome weekend. Stay tuned. Hope you learned something from this. Let me know your thoughts on all these things. All right. Love you.